actually just ask some questions while I get in the video. How many people here are considered themselves developers, WordPress developers? Great. Okay. Advanced developers? High end? Awesome. Beginners? Designers, theme developers? Great. This is for you, all of you. All right, so let me give you a little background real quick. Kevin and I initially set out to build a contact manager for WordPress. There are contact managers out there, and there were others that we built, but we wanted to build one that was more flexible and easy to use, and very powerful. And as we were building it, we started realizing that we were building an application manager, something you could actually build applications. What's the difference between a contact manager and an order management system and a support system? It's just data and fields and logic and post statuses and all this stuff, and we're like, we can do it with anything. So we ended up building an application manager. This is what Piklist turned out to be. So we're going to go over an overview. I'm going to give you a little bit about Piklist. Then we're going to do a demo of an order management system that we built for a client. I'll give you an overview of Piklist, but really just touching on it. Piklist is incredibly powerful. Then we'll go through some code snippets and then take some Q&A, because not only is Piklist incredibly powerful, it's incredibly easy for you to develop with it. It's really, really simple. So a couple things. So this is a bold statement, okay? We want Piklist to be what jQuery is to JavaScript, what Django is to Python, what PHP is to PHP, and Ruby on Rails is to Ruby. Okay, that's what we want Piklist to be. We want to be a rapid WordPress development platform. You build WordPress websites, more powerful WordPress websites that you're building today, easier and faster. That's what we want. We want to be the first plugin you install when you're building a WordPress site. Big statement, bold statement. Hopefully you'll leave here today agreeing with us. So what is Piklist? Piklist is built for businesses. It was also built for businesses. We're going to be launching a suite of products. So not only you have the Piklist plugin, but you may have a Piklist CRM plugin that we'll develop, and a Piklist order management plugin, a Piklist forum plugin. And the benefit of this is that they're all customizable. You'll be able to customize it, but they all work together. So if you had an order management system on your site and you used it for 6 months and you started realizing, where's all this, I'm not really keeping my customer data, you can just install the Piklist CRM and they'll work together. And now all of a sudden you have a CRM interacting with your order management system. And if you want to add a support form, that's now interacting with your CRM and order management system. So they all work together, which makes it very powerful. Right now there are these plugins and themes that are out there in the WordPress world, but they don't always work together very well. So the ones that we're going to be launching first, we're going to be launching a contact manager, an order management system that you'll see today, notifications and logging, which works really well with an order management system. Notifications meaning an email goes out when something happens, and logging, keeping a track of what is going on your website every time something gets changed, and a portal, an easy way to allow your users to register, create accounts, manage their own user data, and interact with the CRM, order management system, and portal. So let's just go through the demo here. So this is the order management repair form. At this point in the process, we're assuming that the user already registered for the site and created a customer account. We don't want to go through that right now. User logs in and they want to create an order. And they get to choose an order type. As you can see, conditional fields, open and close. This order type field, by the way, is a taxonomy of WordPress. You log in the back end, you'd see checkboxes. In Piklist, it could be anything. Drop boxes, radio boxes, checkboxes, date field, color picker. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want your taxonomy to be, it can be. User chooses carbon. This is for a bike repair shop. This client repairs bicycles around the country. People mail their bicycles in. So this is an order. Carbon needs to be repaired. They want to retrofit. There was some paperwork done. And they understand the terms and conditions. And we submit the order. Okay. Same page, form changes. Now it's values. As you can see, the form changes, values are showing. So now I'm logged in as a repair manager. 2 different users using the same exact system. I manage my orders and I get to see what's going on here. Custom post statuses are also available in Piklist. No more, you're not forced to use draft, publishing, pending. It doesn't make sense for our management system, so we don't force you to do that. I'm a repair manager. I log in, I look, oh my, look at that, I have a repair for an estimate. I want to check it out. I see the order details that's going on over here. Just to show you that was a custom taxonomy. We save this taxonomy here. I'm going to give the customer an estimate, $1,000 and $2,000 high estimate. And this particular client wanted manual control over the extensive statuses, but statuses can be automatic. They can be conditional, they can work on anything. They can just automatically progress in order, they can progress if you're choosing approve or decline or whatever. But in this instance, they changed it to a pre-quote system, it updates, you can see form values are now shown over here. Notification goes to the user. This is the owner. They get an email. You have an estimate. Why don't you go check it out? So, owner logs into the page, they see an estimate. They see approve and decline. Remember, it was not on the back end because the repair department doesn't approve or decline it. So they decide that this is a great estimate. They'll submit it. It's been approved. It looks fancy. It's even more amazing when you see the code that takes to do this. It's so minimal. All right, I'm back in the repair department. Repair department gets a notification that it's been approved. So now they log in. And they know, when the user got his email that since he approved it, he also got an email telling him where to ship his bicycle. So now, receiving is waiting for the bicycle. When the receiving department receives it, they check it off. They've received it. They modify it, let everybody know it's been received. User logs in. Oh, sorry, one screen. Safari. Oh, Chrome. Chrome?
Safari, second one.
Am I in the backend? Oh, sorry, wrong one. User gets an email, says it, and they know that their bike has been received by the repair shop. Repair shop now has to, flipping between two browser windows is not always a lot of fun. It's in their shipping department, but in this particular case, it's a big building. So now the bike actually has to be moved to the repair department, and they receive it in repair. Now it's in a waiting to quote status. Now they really quote it, like $1,000 and $500 for paint. And now it's in approval status. It's waiting to be approved. Again, the form fields are non-editable. They change the value. Questions afterwards, please. Sorry. Again, the user gets a chance to approve or decline the order. They approve it, it gets submitted. No, oh, sorry. So now, by default, we have a date field. In the repair department, they usually give a week to repair the order. So we set it as a default. But in this case, they looked at it and they said, well, it could be easy to edit. By the way, creating this date field, really simple. I'll show you how to do that too. It's only going to take 6 days, not 7. And then they change it and put it in the repair queue. And then the user gets another notification letting them know to check the site and that their bike should be repaired, estimated on June 5th. We're going to end that here. Believe it or not, this is actually a modified version of this company's order management system. It's vast with 30 different statuses, not the 10 we went over here. We sort of gave you a little modified view. But I think you got an idea of how powerful Piklist was. And that was actually a very basic view of it. So let's take a couple questions on this, and then afterwards, Kevin's going to show you the code necessary to do this. But yeah.
So just a question about the customer's responses there, like changing those radio buttons. Could they also have a form where they put in the tracking number for shipping, or
Absolutely.
Repair shop hooks in that tracking number automatically when they ship the sticker, the label to the person or whatever?
You should never have to say, can I do it?
Okay.
Okay, it can be done. Let me take a step back. This is built on
Is there
much of
tracking for those
WordPress.
steps too then?
We'll show you that, yeah. Most of WordPress is really built on fields, right? Everything in the backend are fields. When you're creating a post, you're filling in fields. When you're creating a settings page, you're filling in fields. When you drag a widget, you're filling in fields. So you can output a widget file. Just fields. In Piklist, it's a field, and you can assign it, same exact field, anywhere you want, and adding fields is incredibly simple to do. Yes? Yeah, sure. Oh, you went first. All right, you went first.
At what point can you ask, when the client approves, then you ask for a deposit, partial payment, full payment, whatever your terms are?
You can do it. Yeah, this is whatever.
Is it built in already yet?
It's a field. So all you would need to do is create a field saying payment type. Right, as of today, we don't have the e-commerce, an e-commerce portion built in. So in this case, they actually call the client and get a credit card deposit over the phone. And then there's a box that says, you know, charged and maybe a tracking number of some sort, and they add it in there. Like I said, we removed a lot of the steps. But I mean, I know you like kind of do this. It can do anything. Like this is totally custom built, field by field, really simple, saying when this field is filled in, do this. At this point, do this. So yeah.
So the customer has to actually log into the site every time to get their status update. They can't get emailed.
They can, if that's what you want, if that's what your customer wants, they can absolutely get an email. Emails can be generated doing anything you want it to do, pulling any type of information you want. Yeah.
Originally you had said that the first launch were a few plugins like Contact Manager, Order Management. Which plugins were you using for this demo right here?
This is actually Piklist core, and we built the order management system custom for it because the user interface for the CRM and order management system is not ready yet to show.
Okay.
So we built this using Piklist, but the way Piklist is structured is Piklist, you install Piklist as a Piklist core plugin, and then you would install the order management system over it, and it would just interact and work, giving you a lot of default fields, values, logic that you can override but use.
So is this order management?
This is order management. This is order management.
Cool. One more related thing. Can all that be configured by the user, or is there a little bit of code that goes along with that?
We're going to show you the code. Eventually there will be a user interface, a little dragging and dropping and things of that nature. But right now, it's simple arrays. So you know what, maybe it's a good idea. Maybe Kevin could show you some of the code so you guys can see what it takes to build this, and then we'll take some more questions. Go ahead.
All right. Now, you have to excuse me, my window's really small, so I'm going to have to scroll around a lot when I do this. So, like we saw on the back end here, essentially each one of these areas that we're adding fields to is a meta box, right? However, with Piklist, we don't just think of them as meta boxes, we think of them as groups of fields, right? So one thing that I really want to point out is that we took these groups of fields and we didn't have to recreate them to put them on the front of the site. We just reused them, and they work on the front of the site. So all of a sudden, meta boxes don't have to be exclusive to the back end, they can be put on the front end. Okay? But let's go ahead and take a look at what it takes to build a meta box. Now, first I want to show you what it takes to build a meta box with WordPress right now without Piklist. You have to define actions to add your meta boxes. You have to define save post functions. You actually have to handle the data. You have to pull the data back out. You have to render out the fields that go inside of your meta boxes. So this is why we see a lot of meta boxes and plugins that some of them match the admins, some of them don't. But regardless, even if you want to just add one field, like we see here on the codex, there's a decent amount of code that you have to write, and you have to know what you're doing here. Otherwise, you could cause some problems. So that being said, we wanted to make adding meta boxes quite a bit easier on you guys. So right now in Piklist, everything is either a object that you configure or a file that you include. Okay. Now right here we see a parts directory inside of an add-on that we're calling Piklist. Now under the meta boxes, you see we have forms, and there's also a couple other folders that you can take advantage of. We see a number of files. Now whatever you name the file, it doesn't matter. We don't care. What's important for the meta box, just to start off, is the configuration at the top. So by default, we support all of the native meta box fields that are in WordPress, but we've added a number of new ones to help you create behaviors with your meta boxes. Kind of show you some of these here. We have type, which allows you to specify as many post types as you want. We have locked, which actually allows you to lock the meta box. I'll show you that here. So repair, for example, I can't move this. It's not going to drag. When you're creating an application, the form layout's important, and you don't want users making the form layout and confusing themselves as they see fields hiding and showing and changing as it's progressing through the workflow. You have the ability to set capabilities, as many as you like. What capabilities should be able to see this meta box, what capabilities should not be able to see it. So you notice that different boxes were showing up at different times through the workflow. And you have the ability to set statuses, when these boxes should be shown and when they shouldn't be shown, even on the capability. So you can get as granular as you want in your workflow on when you're hiding and showing all of these different things. And we also have new. Some of these meta boxes you don't want to show when they're initially creating a form. For example, when we first saw the order form and we were creating it, we were only showing one meta box out of, I believe, 7? So it allows us to really customize the form when in reality it's one form, but we just want to show different parts in different ways depending upon where you are. So that's how we add a meta box. Before I jump into fields, which is a little complicated, questions?
Why did you decide to do all that in comments rather than like an array of arguments you pass to a function?
We decided to go with comments for some of these things just to make it as easy as possible. One of the things we really wanted to accomplish with Piklist was to take the knowledge that you needed to make something in WordPress and bring it down a little bit, so that you don't necessarily have to be an advanced developer to do cool things like this.
That was my question.
Oh, sweet. And WordPress already has a great system in here to grab the comments and pull the data, and we can just run with it. So now adding a field. Let's see here. We have a global function in Piklist called Piklist. This is an example of how we add a field. This is only, let's say, about 25% of the available options for a field. But I'm just going to kind of step through these, and I'll take questions after I go over this. Okay. So we have a type, and that's where you define your field type. As Steve said, we have things like text, radio buttons, text areas, WYSIWYG editors, date pickers, color pickers, maps, etc. that you can put in here. We have scope, which I'll come back to. We have field, which is the name of the field itself. So for example, this field is called estimate_low, which means that's what our post meta value is going to be stored as, is estimate_low. We have the label for the form. We have attributes to put on top of the HTML element. And here's a cool one, it's on post status. And on post status, it's not just on post status, we also have things like on comment status, for example. But you can define whether or not you want the field to be hidden, you want it to show as a field, or if you want to show it as a value. You notice that some of the fields, as we are going through the workflow, change from an actual field to a value, right? And we made it even a little simpler here. You see, with value, we don't have to define everything in between pre-quote, repair, decline. With the double dash, you can actually define a range of statuses so that you can quickly generate these objects. Yeah. And our scope is one of the really nice things about Piklist. You can create a field in Piklist for anything in WordPress. Comments, taxonomies, posts, post meta, settings. Anything that's available in the database, you can create a field to actually save it to that area of the database. Okay? In this case, we're dealing with post meta. But say if we're building a widget, the scope would be widget. If we're dealing with comments, the scope would be a comment. Right? Now, position is an interesting piece. To talk about position real quick, one of the things that we wanted to accomplish with Piklist was that we didn't want to tell you what the form should be laid out, how it should be laid out, how a field should be laid out. We want you to be able to find your own templates, because the way it should be laid out on the front of the site is completely dependent on the way that you build your theme. So you have the ability to define templates on the field level and on the form level. And they're nothing more than micro templates with shortcuts. Yeah, in fact, let me go ahead and show you one of those. So, for example, for a widget here, that's how you would define your template for the widget scope, or for a meta scope, or the default scope that we use for settings, for example. And these can all be applied with filters so that you can really define, do you want an unordered list? Do you want to use Bootstrap in their form layout? Do you want a definition list? You know, whatever, you know, suits your guys' needs. And that's some of the field stuff. I'm going to stop here with any questions? Okay, good. Docs?
I'm going to show you a couple of examples of some of the core fields that we've built in that are really simple to build. Again, one thing I really want to emphasize, the array that Kevin just showed you, whatever was 10 lines of code, you would use that same type of array when you're building a meta box, or if you want to add a settings page, or you want to build a widget. It doesn't matter. It all really works together the same way. Yeah?
This might be a weird question. So were you doing the double dash to define a range of statuses?
Mm-hmm.
Or statuses have like an order? Is there like I never really looked.
In Piklist they do. Even meta fields have an order. For example, we have an add more field. And as you add more rows to the add more field, when you pull that data back out of WordPress, we automatically make sure that it stays in that order. So that even things like statuses have a defined order.
She'll pick that. Here's the status being defined. So it's defined in an order. When you create,
It actually pulls the order that they're.
yeah, when you're creating your post type, we've extended create post type for post statuses.
And a number of other things actually too. For example, while we're here, you can define your own edit columns. There's post-to-post relationships, post-to-comment relationships, post-to-user relationships. Everything can be related actually. You can actually default on a post type when you register it. You can say what meta boxes you want to be available and what you don't. So if you want to get rid of all of the default meta boxes and have just the publish box and nothing else available, you can do that when you register a post type. When you register a taxonomy, you can make sure that meta box doesn't even show up. Say if you want to define a taxonomy in a custom field in one of your meta boxes, rather than using the taxonomy checkboxes. A perfect example is what Steve showed with the drop-down for our taxonomy, and we showed the normal taxonomy box as an example of how that's actually saving.
We can go one more.
Yeah.
One more question.
Have you considered submitting a patch back to WordPress for some of these extends on registered post type we've done? For example, the stats.
Great question. We actually have notes in Piklist on things that we are going to be submitting as patches. We would love to see a number of Piklist features just get rolled into core and we end up removing them from Piklist one day. So we've actually already broken out some of those things and we have plans to send a number of patches on a number of other things that hopefully we can show you today as well.
Yeah, one of the things actually, it's really interesting, when we were going through this, we realized that the publish box in WordPress is nice, but it's perfect for blogging, but it doesn't really work well for an order management system or a contact management system. As we were looking at it, if you look at the publish box in WordPress core, it's actually, most of it's hard coded. It's not a lot of hooks or filters. It's tough to manipulate. So we actually rewrote it. So the publish box that you see when you install Piklist actually is the Piklist publish box. We deregistered a WordPress Piklist publish box. We register ours, which is exactly the same with added features and functions. The idea is that we're going to be, you may want to not only show different post statuses, but progress to the next one, and it just wasn't built in. So that's something else we probably will submit to WordPress core.
Patch, please.
And show PigDocs login and show the fields.
Oh.
Show some of the cool fields.
So
here's some fields that we built out that you can easily build. So you can easily build with Piklist. So besides the basic text fields that are simple to use and text areas, obviously drop downs and radio buttons, but nested inputs as well can be built easily with Piklist as well.
and something of note is that everything that's generated in the back end of WordPress follows the style guide for the WordPress admin. So everything Piklist generates looks like it belongs in WordPress.
Color picker as well. Color picker is just as easy. Before, when Kevin showed you how to define a field as text, date picker, color picker, and this will show up. It's that simple. Some advanced fields, an HTML content box. This could be anywhere. You can put this anywhere you want, not just for post content, but anywhere you want. And then we also have some column inputs as well. And it is as simple as building that array.
Okay. Going to show off how we build the settings. One thing to note also is that the tabs The settings page itself is also generated by Piklist, following the WordPress style guide. So if we take a look at how we generate out a settings page, for example, we define our settings page here. Everything is defined with filters and actions in Piklist. And then we have the ability to come in and define our settings. So for example, I've created my sections here and my tabs, and then I go in and I start defining what those sections are and what the fields are, just as we define fields for meta boxes. So really, the only thing that you need to be able to do to get started with Piklist and create some of these workflows is you need to know how to work with actions and filters, and you need to know how to build an array. If you can do that, you can do quite a bit with Piklist. Then if you need custom logic, that's where you would start writing some of your custom functions. Any questions?
In one of the demos, you had the repair people fill in something in the meta box and then go over to the drop-down list and select update the status to reflect exactly what they just finished. Can you hook up an event triggering mechanism?
Absolutely. In fact, the form on the front of the site, that's exactly what it does. So they wanted the ability to manually change the statuses in the back end, but on the front of the site, as they submit, it automatically progresses through the statuses.
Right. So yeah, so post statuses are actually, it's actually really interesting. Most of the stuff that you saw today is all based upon post status, the current post status, and field values. And that determined the next post status. Like Kevin said in this case, the client wanted total control of the back end. But yeah, that's all, that can all be done with logic.
So to show off a couple other fields here, we have a date picker that's been put in, and with any field that's JavaScript, you have the ability to define options on a field. So you can actually pass JavaScript options as you define it in PHP to configure it. You notice that our date field here has a different format than what normally comes with the jQuery date picker. And jQuery date picker is automatically included with Piklist, and it respects the versions that are currently with WordPress. So as you upgrade WordPress, they automatically upgrade the jQuery UI, it'll maintain that same version. Here's comments. But here's one of the things that I think is pretty cool is there's currently a ticket open on WordPress on the tab box, creating a general tab box within WordPress. And they've actually started it in the current version of WordPress. It's about 30–40% done. So what we did is we went ahead and we finished it so that you can create tab boxes anywhere in the system too, on a settings page and a meta box inside of a widget. And these tab boxes behave just the same way that the tab boxes for a taxonomy behave. So when we're in a wide content area on, say, an admin page, but we bring it over to a side area, we see that the tabs go to the top. And this uses the existing stuff that's in WordPress. We just added a few things that were missing from the current version of WordPress to make all of this work. And you can have 10 tab boxes in a single meta box. One of the current restrictions with WordPress is that you can actually put one tab box inside of a meta box at a time.
So this is an idea. This is really just, really just touching basic, the really basic stuff that Piklist can do. I mean, and you can use it in its basic core. Like if you have a client and you want to add a settings page, Piklist is an easy way for you to add a settings page. If you wanted to build a widget, it's just really easy to build a widget with Piklist. We didn't go through it right now, but it's really pretty simple. In fact, not only can you build a widget with Piklist, but Piklist lets you group the widgets. We started realizing that the widget area gets a little bit crazy with all the widgets that are out there. And if you have like a contact manager, you may want your widgets grouped in one widget. So in the back end, you would just drag over the Piklist CRM widget and then choose. You want to see the contact details, company details, all the widgets built into grouped as one widget. Keeps the widget area a lot cleaner, groups things together, especially when we start adding a lot of widgets to a big application system. It can get messy. You're looking for stuff and you can't find it. So this is actually built into Piklist core. It makes it really easy to do that as well. I think we have like 2 minutes left. So if there's any other questions,
are you going to show some template integration? How you get the fields? How you pull all this out?
Sure. Let me go ahead.
Well, let's see how we build a widget. That's a good way to do it.
One other thing, we are going to have a room tomorrow to show you some development. So if you want to, this is going to be a Piklist room, so you can work with us.
So by default, whenever you install Piklist, any add-on that is a Piklist add-on or a Piklist plugin and the themes, you can define widgets in your theme or in those add-ons. And automatically, when they're activated, this is a small screen, there's actually an add-ons page. So as you install them, you can come in here and activate them, disable them, and even go and change their settings. But once a widget is once an add-on or a theme is activated, it automatically adds this grouped widget box for that particular add-on theme.
If defined.
If defined. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these widgets. So this is a widget that I built that all it does is it allows you to choose a post type of example. It shows the title here. You just go ahead and you select the title from a drop-down. Just decided to make a drop-down. You can define a color for the text that gets outputted. And the date was just to show that you can put a date field inside of a widget easily. So we're going to go ahead and save that. All right. And when we go to the front of the site, we can see that it's outputted and we've highlighted the color. So, okay, here's the widget. Nothing special, but let's see how we actually put it together. Now, when we create a widget, there are two files that you could possibly create. It's the only time that we actually say we want to see a suffix on a file, right? And you don't have to create a form for a widget. You can just create the output, okay? So, for example, I have a Hello World widget here. And here's the output. I put a small comment block at the top that gives me the title and description for the widget that we see in the widget grouping. In WordPress, we have before widget, after widget, before title, and after title. So these are standard in WordPress. So we pass those in so you can use them and make sure your widgets follow the theme that they're installed on. I kick out a title because I didn't put a title on my widget. I just wanted the default one. And I say Hello World. Pretty straightforward for outputting a widget. Now, here's the output for the example widget. It's the same kind of thing. And excuse the inline style, just trying to make it a nice little demo here. But we make the paragraph the settings color, and now your settings from the widget are passed in with one of two variables. It's your choice. Settings seems a little more intuitive, but it's also passed in as instance for those of us who have built a number of widgets and we're used to instance. And then we can see over here that I'm grabbing the title from settings example because it actually stores the ID on the widget, not the title. That's where we set it up. Now, if you want to create a form for a widget, you would just say, this one's called example.php, you'd say example-form.php. And the system will automatically pick up the form, and it's just defining more fields. It's nothing else. So we can see here that I've got a select that pulls in get posts, and I'll cover this Picklist function in a moment. And then we see down below that we've defined a color picker, and we see that we've defined a date field. Okay.
I want to emphasize, look how simple it is to create a color picker and a date field. I mean, you can't get simpler than that.
And the one thing, Piklist, we have a default function for Piklist. Has anyone ever heard of WP list pluck? Or
List pluck.
Yeah. All right, it's a great function. I believe it was recently put out there on a blog article. One of the things that it does do is it allows you to specify a key and pull back just that key from an array. We extended that with the Picklist function, and you can pass multiple keys if you like. In this case, I want to get an array that has a key with the ID and a value of the post title. So it allows me to easily say get post and dump it straight into a field without having to write a loop to generate an array and then put it in there. The idea is that we want to do everything on the field level, and we want to keep it in the field so that we can keep everything as granular as possible to accomplish whatever we want to accomplish.
All right, so besides, the goal is we are going to be releasing this version of Piklist for free on WordPress.org in the next couple of weeks. We just want to clean up some stuff. We're going to include a couple of these add-ons that are in there, the documents and stuff, so you can just go in and copy out fields and just manipulate them any way you want. So you'll have full access to a lot of the code to get you started. And we're also going to be putting a lot of code snippets on our website so that you can easily build this stuff out. I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's incredibly simple. It really is. Building that order management system, honestly, the hardest part was just figuring out what to do in the next step. You know, when you're really trying to break down a flow that's been paper-based for years, that was the most difficult part. But they worked with us and we got it out there. So, yeah.
Is there anywhere we can see the code now, or wait?
You come tomorrow to the developer room, and we'll show you anything you want. Is there anything you want to see? Okay. It's not out. It's not public yet. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you were saying before. I mean, this is obviously all code. You're thinking about doing some UI for this as well?
There will be, yes. We're going to be building out a UI version, some drag and drop stuff, because it does get. It can definitely get a little bit crazy, especially when you're building out really big workflows. The one you saw was only 10 post statuses, but when you have you have 20, 30, then it can get a little bit crazy. So yeah, we will be building that out. That's something that Kevin's itching to do. So I just had him focus on this. Yeah.
So related to that, then, if you, for example, want to set up that order management field, right now you have to build it out through the arrays until that UI.
Yeah. And and honestly, a lot of developers prefer to do it with arrays, right? They want to just build it out there and do it, but a lot of people don't. I understand that. But you would. Honestly, you would copy it out. I don't have it right here, but you would copy it, and it's actually quite simple when you take a look at it.
Do you have a checker for if, like, you forgot a semicolon or whatever?
We don't have the semicolon checker, but one of the things we have been thinking about building, if you're logged in as an administrator, it's something I've been working with Kevin on, because there were a lot of issues while building this stuff out. If you're logged in as an admin and you view any of these pages, we will try to put some type of error messages in code in the comments of the source. So as you're building this stuff out, you can see things that are going on. Because you actually, to be honest with you, can write conflicting code. Something that you want to show up at a particular post status, but hide on other post status, and it actually can conflict, and then you're like, what's going on? So we will be building in some error messaging as comments in the source to really help you figure it out. Not about semicolons, but other stuff.
And then to speak on how users would do this, we're actually going to make the builders such that when you're on a post page and you're looking at the workflow, you're not going to go into another settings page and go into a form and add things. You're going to do it actually in the workflow. So if you're on a settings page and you want to add a setting, you'll have a button you can click and you can create the field and drop it where you want it. When you're on a post page and you want to drop in a setting or you want to create a new meta box, that's where you do it. So the idea is that we want it to be just as easy for non-developers to build out this stuff as it is for developers. Or easy.
If I can move the company and have a contact with the top. Okay. Cool. All right. Any of you?
Things like compatibility with membership systems, like S2 member or the Pro member plugin that I know someone else is demoing here.
Great question.
Yes. Why don't you answer that?
It's one of the nice things about Piklist. If there is an ability to put a field into a particular form on another plugin, all you have to do is drop in the fields. When the form is submitted, Piklist will pick up the fact that there are fields there and it'll process them on the side. So the idea is that every system that you create with WordPress, whether it's a CRM or a form or order management, you just need to get fields into the workflow so that you can accomplish, the client's workflow, not teach them the WordPress workflow or the workflow that that you're limited to when you put together the app.
So does Piklist just store the data in the existing tables based on the scope?
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the nice things about Piklist is we only create one table with Piklist. That's it. And it's for our relationships. There just isn't a better way to do it. But everything else is the native WordPress tables. We want to stick to the WordPress philosophy on building plugins, not adding too much and not trying to go too far outside of the way that WordPress likes to see things built.
Any questions? All right, great. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And if you do want to know when we're going to be releasing Piklist, you can go to the front of piklist.com and give us your email address. So we'll announce when we'll let you know when it's available. All right. Thank you so much.